Okay, so we're going to take a look at the quotient rule now. And the quotient rule helps us deal with situations like the derivative of e to the x over sine x. All right, just like the product rule, we couldn't just take the derivative of each piece. Same thing's true with the quotient. We can't just take the derivative of each piece. Now, in your textbook on page 141, there is a full proof. I gave you the nuts and bolts. It's really the same as the product rule proof, with the exception of obviously the difference quotient when we set it up is a complex fraction. And then when we deal with cleaning up that complex fraction, we're still going to have to add pieces in and take them out. And the proof has a very similar feel and flavor as the last proof that we did. So time-wise, I don't really think it's worth going all the way through together, but it is there if you really want to see it as a basis. Now, the way that I tend to remember this rule is with a little saying. If I was there, I'd make you chant it, so you're probably very happy I'm not there. All right, and basically, we're going to consider the top function as high and the bottom function as low. All right, so in this example, g of x is low and f of x is high. And the way that I always remember quotient rule is I start with low, d high, minus high, d low, all over low squared. All right, so when we say that, we say low d high minus high d low all over low squared. You can always give it a little southern twang if you want to. Low d high over high d low all over low squared. My wife's laughing at me in the background. She just said no, she's not, but she really is. But again, the more often you say that, low d high minus high d low all over low squared, it's really going to kind of stick. I've had students in the past that have come back to me and be like, I was taking a Calc 3 test, and in the middle of the test, I found myself chanting to myself, low d high minus high d low all over low squared. And again, it's just a way to help you remember. It's easier than thinking of denominator times the derivative of numerator minus numerator times the derivative of denominator all over the denominator squared. That's a lot to remember versus low d high minus high d low all over low squared, which is a little bit easier to just kind of keep in your head when you're working with these problems. So let's look at some examples where we use this. And again, we're going to look at it from a very rote perspective right now. And then when we get into the next chapter, then we'll start really applying it. And we'll see where these come into play in a lot of different real-life applications. All right, so in this first example, we've got a rational function here. And there's clearly a numerator and a denominator. So the top is going to be 2x plus 3. That's high. And then the low, or the denominator, is going to be the 5x minus 2. So when I look to find dy dx, all right, we're going to start out with low. All right, we're always going to toss that in parentheses. D high. Now, derivative of high, derivative of 2x plus 3 based on the quotient rule, based on the power rule, is just going to be a 2. All right, so now we've got our low d high. Then minus high d low. So the high function, 2x plus 3. And the derivative of the denominator, or the low function, derivative of 5x minus 2 is just going to be a 5. All right, and that's all over low squared. All right, so right there, we're technically done with all the calculus, and at this point, it's whatever algebra we choose to do, all right? And that's going to vary really based on purpose. Now, I'll be upfront, most of the time, they're going to be asking you to find out when the derivative is 0. So cleaning up the top a little bit into either a factored form or a simplified form is usually going to help us out. So on this one, I'm going to go ahead and clean it up just a little bit. I've got 5 times 2, which is 10x, and then minus a 10x in the second piece, so those are going to cancel. I'm going to have a negative 4 when I distribute, minus, and it looks like that's going to be a 15, so that's a negative 19. So I have negative 19 in the top. And in the bottom, we have a 5x minus 2 squared. Now, no benefit to us in multiplying out the bottom, so we're going to leave that factored. All right, and that would be our derivative. So again, it was low d high minus high d low all over low squared. So when I go to number 2, all right, I'm going to approach that in a very similar way. All right, I've got dy dx is what I'm finding. So we're going to go low, which in this case is sine x. D high, which is the derivative of e to the x, which is just e to the x. All right, that's our weird one where it's the derivative of itself. All right, minus high, e to the x. d low, derivative of sine. Derivative of sine is cosine, so I have cosine x. And that's all over low squared, which is sine squared x. All right, now again, typically we're going to want to use this when we're setting it equal to 0 and solving. So I think about that when I think about how I'd simplify. So the main thing I do to simplify this one is I would factor the top. And by that, the only thing we can do is factor out that e to the x. So I have e to the x equals sine x minus cosine x. All right, and that's all over sine squared x. And again, I did that factoring because if I was setting this equal to 0, I would set the top equal to 0, e to the x equals 0, which is never true, and then sine x minus cosine equals 0. So I could move the cosine over and then divide both sides by cosine, and I'd have a tangent equals 1 type problem, which is pretty easy for us to solve. All right, so again, we're trying to get it set up so if we did have to set it equal to 0 and solve, it would be relatively easy to work with. All right, but technically both of these lines, that one and that one, are great answers for that question. All right, so that's really the quotient rule. We'll do one slight application, and then we'll look at a table perspective problem. So in 3, we've got find the normal and the tangent. All right, so normal is perpendicular to the tangent. So we're going to find the tangent line and a line perpendicular to it at the point 0, 1/4. So as with anything, we need a slope and we need a point. All right, and it's 2 lines that we're looking for here. So I'm going to set that up twice. So the nice thing here is the point they just explicitly gave us. It's 0, 1/4. All right, so we're going to start out and we're going to find the slope, and we're going to start with the tangent line since that's the one that's routine for us at this point. And we're going to find the derivative. So f prime of x equals low x plus 4 d high e to the x minus high e to the x d low, which is 1, all over low squared, so x plus 4 squared. All right, we're particularly interested at the point when x is 0. All right, so if I plug in 0, I get 4 e to the 0, which is 1, minus e to the 0, which is 1, times 1, all over 4. All right, so that's going to be 4 minus 1, which is 3, over 4, so 3/4. So my slope of the tangent line is 3/4. So that gives me a y minus 1/4 equals 3/4 times x minus 0. All right, so that is my slope of the tangent line. Now the normal is perpendicular to the tangent. All right, so this is going to be an opposite reciprocal, so we'll say a negative 4/3. All right, and at this point, this is one of the beauties of point-slope form. For the normal, all I have to do is just switch the slope, all right, because we're still passing through the same point. So I switch out that slope, and I get my equation of the normal. All right, normals aren't used too often in 2 dimensions, but when you push out into 3 dimension, a normal, something that's perpendicular to the tangent plane, is going to be a way to describe a point in one way. All right, because if you think about like the top of a hill in 3 dimensions, there are tons of tangent lines that go around that top. The one common characteristic, though, is the normal for all of those tangent lines would be exactly the same line. All right, so they'd share that normal as a common characteristic. So in 3 space, we really look at normals versus tangents. But in 2 space, tangents are more than sufficient, and they're immediately descriptive. All right, we know exactly what they mean. All right, taking a look at our last example here, we've got let f of x be a function such that f of 2 equals negative 4 and f prime of 2 equals 4. Let g of x be the function 2x squared. All right, and it wants us to find g prime of 2. So we're going to start by finding g prime of x in general, and that is the quotient rule. So that's low d high minus high d low all over low squared. All right, so now we'll do some substitutions here. All right, and we're specifically, let's plug these in. So we've got 2x squared for g of x times f prime of x minus f of x times g prime of x. So g prime of x, we'll use our power rule, would be a 4x. All right, so we've got 4x in there. And then all over g of x, which was our 2x squared, squared. All right, they were curious about at 2, so g prime of 2 equals g of 2 times f prime of 2 minus f of 2 g prime of 2, all right, all over g of 2 squared. So if I plug those into actually what we have here, g of 2 is going to be 8. F prime of 2, they told us at the top, was 4. So we'll drop a 4 in there. All right, minus, then we've got f of 2, which at the top they told us was negative 4, times g prime of 2, all right, which is 4 times x, or 8. And that's all over g of 2, all right, which is 8 squared. All right, so if I push this together, I've got 8 times 4, which is 32, minus a minus, so plus 32, all over 8 squared, which is 64. That's going to be 64 over 64, which is 1. All right, so g prime of 2 in this case is 1. But again, there was a lot of work to support that and to get to that. So we had to start, find in general what the derivative was, then use that general derivative for the specific value of 2 to find our value of g prime of 2. All right, the table questions are something that the College Board loves to ask because it really takes the algebra out of the mix. They do occasionally ask some of the algebra ones, like the first 2, but usually they'll stick to like 3 and 4 so that they're testing more than one skill, and or they're keeping it very abstract and taking all the algebra out of the mix. All right, I hope that helps. That's the quotient rule. Have a great day.